Okay. Good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I am Toastmaster Akash, District 122, Public Relation Manager. I welcome you all in today's exclusive workshop about Toastmasters Brand Guideline, organized by District 122 Public Relations team. We are so excited to have you all to explore how branding can elevate your club presence. Today's session is all about understanding the nuances of Toastmasters identity, voice, visual, and its practical application across all platforms. Whether you are a VPPR of your club or you are a PR enthusiast or you are simply eager to learn, this workshop is designed for you. Provide you the tools that you need to maintain consistency and professionalism in all your communication. Today, we are going to have a trainer. Sometimes I wonder that he has some secret stash of superhero capes somewhere because he is wearing so many multiple hats and he's doing his work with so much precision that even coffee machine at my home is getting jealous with his precision. I sometimes wonder that how he manages so many things at the same time. He has been the pioneer of District 122. He's been the first CGD of District 122P. He has been the Program Quality Director. He served as the District Director of 122P. He also served as the President of Karachi Toastmasters Club. He is serving currently as a Vice President Public Relations of Worldwide Toastmasters Club. With your huge round of applause, DTM Talha Bin Hamid. But before handing over stage to him, there are some meeting instructions, some online meeting etiquettes, which you are requested to follow. Please don't unmute yourself while someone is speaking. If you have a question, please raise your hand virtually or please ask or seek permission to ask questions. So, and I also request you to turn on your videos to have more engagement while asking questions. So I'm not going to take much of your time. I'm handing over the stage, the maestro, my guru, the PR guru, with your huge round of applause, DTM, double DTM, in fact, I guess triple DTM, DTM, Talha Bin Hamid, aka TBH. Over to you,
Thank
TBH.
thank you so much, Akash. And you're not helping matters at all by building so much hype. First of all, I must thoroughly appreciate your public relation efforts in general and in particular for this particular workshop. Now I'm scared to death and hoping to God that I'm able to deliver the value that you have advertised without asking me. But uh, let's start. So first of all, welcome everyone, and we are all going to talk about the brand manual first. It is something that we are truly sick of. Personally, I am because uh, we see it as something that limits our creativity and it places a lot of restrictions, and often it can result in flyers or pages or presentations that are very generic looking. If you look anywhere outside District 122, with a few exceptions, District 105 is one exception, District 20 is another, uh, and maybe the newly formed UAE district 124, I guess. That's an exception, District 79. Other than that, look anywhere else, especially in the Western Hemisphere. You find flyers and public relations material that you would want to, that makes you want to die, seriously, of boredom. So think of the brand manuals as a set of tools, and that set of tools is with which you can create either a masterpiece or you can create something truly mediocre. That's entirely up to you. that depends upon your creativity. And we will start by actually looking at the brand manual, though this workshop is not intended to be a thorough and comprehensive reading of the brand manual, because for that, I expect all of you to do that. All right. But we'll quickly go over it to cover the basic requirements. So I'm displaying the brand manual here. First thing first, there are a lot of attractive treatments, shades, transparencies, and visual techniques used in this brand manual, which none of us are free to use. I had that clarified with the Toastmasters branding team. I found so many attractive shades, attractive tonal gradings and everything. I also dared to use them in some of the documents I prepared. But then I was told that, some liberties only the Toastmasters World Headquarters can take with the branding and the materials. We are not supposed to take that. And that makes sense because we are representing Toastmasters. We are not Toastmasters World Headquarters themselves. Uh, a few areas of deviation where we can deviate with permission is the first is our annual conference. You would be seeing even the avatar that Akash is showing right now. That is our logo from the last annual district conference, and there we are allowed to deviate from the brand manual and create something of our own choosing. And yeah, so okay. Uh, Let me thank you, Toastmaster Craig. Let me call up the latest brand manual. I believe it was the latest, but maybe I was mistaken. Uh, Toastmasters brand manual. So the whole logic behind a brand manual is to actually standardize the. Yeah, now I am. No, actually, Toastmaster link itself is leading to the old brand manual. I don't know why. Uh, just give me a second. Yeah, new brand manual. There it is. Yeah, so the new brand manual is completely web-based, and while it is opening, let me explain some of the logic behind the brand. It is our instinct to go over our own creative directions while creating things, and it is actually very enticing to do our own thing, and we often do, myself included. But overall, it is wise to stick to the brand manual. Now I'm sharing the screen to share the latest brand manual, and just give me a second. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes,
Can
sir.
anyone confirm?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right. All right. So let me just display it properly. Yeah. So this is the online brand manual, which is the latest version, right? And it starts with the brand platform where leaders are made, core values, integrity, respect, service, and excellence, and resist the temptation to actually put it in that order, because resist the temptation to change the order, because it's all too tempting to phrase it like respect, integrity, service, and excellence. And it works out to a very, very attractive anagram, RISC, RISE. But no, we are not supposed to do that, because integrity comes first. Without integrity, everything is useless. So please use these values in that order. Now, the brand promise, empowering individuals through personal and professional development. Our promise encompasses all aspects of growth for members. So keep this in mind, that whenever you're advertising your meetings, your events, highlight that Toastmasters grows you as a person and as a professional. One cannot come at the expense of another. So the voice checklist, voice and tone checklist, it should be warm, clear, friendly, professional, succinct, respectful, universally understandable, and internationally friendly. By which I mean that our materials should not be too specific to a certain area, certain city, certain uh, country. Yes, of course, when you're advertising your club's meeting, by all means, it can have a theme centered around a very specific area, a very specific group of people. There's nothing forbidden in that, but at the same time, it should also be inclusive. Um, so the visual guidelines, this is the Toastmasters logo, and you can have it in various colors. You can have it in, this is the most commonly used one, the blue one, and then there's a grayscale one, the white one, and this is the minimum size, which is 72 pixels on the web and 3 by 4 inches in print. It is easy to simulate whenever you're making a document to keep these two things in mind. 72 pixels should be the width. And since it is symmetrical, that means the same should be the height. And 3 by 4 inches in print. Then we have the logo word mark. There are various versions again. You can download them all. Again, 72 pixels minimum size and 3 by 4 inches in print. Then we have the logo lockups. They are all given here. And the manner of use is like this. If you don't even look at this, just bear in mind that the logo, whatever you're using, the word mark, the logo, or the logo with a tagline, or the logo with your district name or club name, it should always have proper symmetrical spacing around it. And this is something that we tend to see a lot where the logo is scrunched together with a lot of other stuff. All of this is forbidden. So, for example, you cannot distort the logo, not stretch the logo. You cannot create a different version of the logo. You cannot manipulate or edit the logo in any circumstances, right? You cannot change the colors. You cannot add a background to it. And, you cannot add any visual effects. These are the centennial logos, which Toastmasters has created for especially the 100th year celebration of Toastmasters. Since we are covering the core brand manual here, I will just skip over this part and just say that you can download all these logos and all the other rules that we just saw applied. Then there's the primary color palette, and this is the primary color palette. They have officially added black to it, which is of course by default, because black used to be part of the palette, even though it wasn't officially part of the palette. But now that means, which is very significant, you can use it as a background as well. And using a black background can transform whatever you're creating. So that's just one of the creative possibilities. The same true maroon, royal blue, cool gray, black, and white. Be sure to use these values. And what you can do as a shortcut is that you can take a screenshot of this particular palette and you can paste it in whatever graphics program you're using and use the eyedropper tool to exactly reproduce these colors without having to put in the hex values or the RGB values. Then there's the accent color, happy yellow. Now, happy yellow usage is slightly tricky because it cannot be used as a background. It cannot cover most of your flyer or your material. Instead, it should be used as a highlighter. You can create a heading out of it, and you can do a lot more with it, but not use it as one of the main colors. These are the gradient colors, and these are just the same that we saw, but slight variations. I have very rarely seen the use of gradients in Toastmasters literature worldwide, which means that people are still adapting to it, or maybe they don't exactly know how to use gradients. And that makes sense because using gradients requires a little bit of an extra knowledge of a graphics program. But these are the gradients. And again, I would advise the same thing. Copy and, capture it via the screenshot and then use the eyedropper tool to capture the exact color. That will make life easy. Transparencies. This is something very interesting. Think of them as three extra colors that you can use, although it's not that simple. In order to use these transparencies, you first have to create the underlying color, and then you can then insert the overlying color with the required transparency. So for example, for this particular transparency, you have to have loyal blue linear gradient, right? So use this gradient and insert a 30% transparent or 70% opaque white swatch over it. So again, think of them as different colors that you can use in addition to the colors that we have already seen. And again, I've hardly seen transparencies being used. They unlock a lot of creative possibilities. Now, the pathways logo we've all seen, right? And the number of pathways is now reduced. So the 6 surviving pathway logos will be used. Fonts. Now, this is something very interesting. On the surface, only 2 fonts are allowed, Gotham and Myriad Pro. But if you look at the versions of it font, then you can, there's a whole world that you can unlock. So Gotham typeface, they've listed all the variants here. In addition, they also have a condensed version of Gotham. Similarly, Myriad Pro, again, condensed, semi-condensed, and semi-extended. In addition to all these variants, that means you're pretty much free to use any variants of these fonts, and that alone can make a world of difference for your graphics. Okay. Now, there's another font, Corinthia, that they have allowed, which is actually to be used for special occasions. I'm just opening it before you. This is what it looks like. So it might be very tempting to use it on all the flyers going forward, but sadly, no, because you can use it only for special occasions. So let's just wait for the page to upload. So for example, a club anniversary, a birthday meeting, right? Or something to celebrate a special occasion. Feel free to use this font. This is again a big departure from previous, where we were just limited to those fonts that were given, Gotham and Myriad Pro. But now there's a third and finally fourth font, more ornate font that members can use to promote special events. So not one, but 2 additional fonts have now been unlocked by Toastmasters. So this is great news for all of us, because that means that we have that much leeway. But again, let me caution that they can only be used for special occasions. So moving forward, images and photography. Previously, a few years ago, you could not place the Toastmasters logo on any image. But now that has been unlocked, that has been allowed, as long as the font stands clear. And again, your eyes are the best judge. The logo should stand clear against the background. Secondly, you're encouraged to use all these resources, brand portal, email signatures, and yeah, there's a host of image guidelines, right? We will cover them in a bit, and finally apparel guidelines and everything. So I'm giving the link to this brand manual, and I'm stopping the sharing, and I'll start with my own presentation now. So just give me a second. I'm opening the PowerPoint. Please confirm when you can see. Can everyone see the slide?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. So, understanding the Toastmaster brand voice and messaging, we have already covered that through a quick survey of the brand manual. Moving forward, look at these. Now, this is just to reinforce my earlier point about preventing changing the colors and distorting. Look at these logos, the Coca-Cola logo, the Audi logo, another version of the Audi logo, because one might be tempted, okay, why only stick to circles? We can do that in rhombuses, right? Or look at the Microsoft logo. 3 out of the 4 colors are correct, but one color, this one, that is out. That is not the standard color, and that makes the whole logo look weird. So that is why you should understand that it's not desirable to change the shapes and the ratios and the colors of standard Toastmaster branding logos and materials. Consistent visual identity. So this used to be the old brand platform. And so this is actually a condensed version, and I'll be sharing it later as well. Fonts should be Gotham for headings, Myriad for body. And again, the fancy fonts, I don't recall the names of them right now. Corinthia, I think, one of them, and Luxurious, another. They can be used, but only for special occasions. Color remained as before, but now the black is added as well as white. TI logo usage should be done with proper placement, contrast, and prominence, and absence of forbidden element. This is very important because myself included, a lot of us use all of these illustrations, cartoons, and images. These are forbidden. We cannot use any of them. Images mainly or solely portraying landscapes, animals, children, food, and food appliances, medicine, and architecture. These are forbidden. Now, that does not mean that you cannot put a landscape or animal or child or food appliances, medicine, or architecture. That just means that they can form part of a collage, a small part of a flyer or a newsletter, but you cannot use them as a basis for for your whole composition. Moving on, these are the colors and the transparencies. Now let's get creative. And these are the possible variants of the Gotham font. You thought that Gotham was just one font. And let me also tell you that we are kind of lucky because I studied up the history of Gotham font. It is a font that is created in the 2000s, and it's considered as a crowning achievement in the world of graphic design and fonts because it combines so many elements. If you look at it, it is pleasantly symmetrical, it is balanced. The bold part of the font stands out from the non-bold version of the font, which to me is very important. It adds a whole degree of elegance to the composition. Look at all these variants. There's bold, bold, ultra, narrow, X narrow, condensed. And condensed, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is a unicorn. It is your silver bullet. It can solve so many problems. Let me tell you how in a little bit. Similarly, Myriad, these are so many different variants of the Myriad Pro. In fact, the most beautiful font that I find in the entire Toastmasters palette is Myriad Pro Light. Just look at it. It's so elegant, slightly soft, but it also is lucid. Similarly, Myriad Pro Condensed, another silver bullet. Let me tell you how. So these are some of the examples that I have created, and you should not necessarily take them as 100% brand compliant flyers, but these are mostly brand compliant, right? This one I had checked from Toastmasters World Headquarters, and they confirmed that yes, it is 100% brand compliant. And the interesting part is that the treatment that you see here, the way in which Fantabulous is written, that's a Gotham font, and I have just converted into 3D, right? So I see that happening very little. People are not taking that chance. Let me announce that it is allowed as per Toastmasters branding team. You can convert it into 3D. You can, stretch it. You can bend it into creative shapes as long as the colors remain within the brand manual. So the colors of the 3D depth you see here, they're deviating slightly here, but overall, they remain within the palette of the loyal blue gradient that Toastmasters has provided. So Similarly, the 4, which is written in the background, you can have hollow fonts. You can remove their background, just leave an outline. You can do all that with the fonts that you're doing, as long as you stick to the brand colors. So you can take that liberty. You can twist and bend and treat the text into new and exciting shapes. You can create all sorts of things. This one, now, if you see, this uses a creative technique, which is just that I have used pictures in the background. Now, remember, Toastmaster asks you to stick to the brand palette as far as your graphics are concerned, but it says nothing about the pictures, right? So the pictures can be any color, and that unlocks a whole host of possibilities. So everything on this flyer, including the fonts, is 100% brand compliant. You can see this on the right is actually the Myriad Pro condensed. And why am I such a big fan of condensed version? Because they allow you to fit so much text with such elegance in such a small space. So that is something that we can all get behind, because that is the challenge. Just consider for a moment how much amount of text this flyer has. And at a glance, it doesn't even look like a Toastmaster flyer. But let me tell you, it is 100% brand compliant, because the picture on the left is colored yellow, right? And the picture on this right, the bluish picture, was just colored that way. I didn't create a graphic that was in a non-compliant color, right? The fonts are compliant. We all know now that the black color has been added to the brand palette as well. So everything on this flyer is brand compliant. And at the same time, I believe at least, it looks slightly different from the usual brand colors that we have. Give me a second. Now, moving on. This is another example, a recent meeting of Worldwide Advanced Toastmasters Club. Now, I've taken a lot of liberty here with the colors of the picture, because remember, Toastmasters places no restrictions on what colors the pictures can be. And I found that monochrome pictures add that much class and elegance to any composition, let alone a flyer. Now, breaking this flyer down, first of all, the fonts are all brand compliant. It's either Gotham Bold or Gotham Light, or Myriad Pro Bold or Myriad Pro Light. That's pretty much it. A little bit of Myriad Pro condensed under the blurb, for the blurb under the special recital thing, right? So the picture on the top left that you see, right? Yes. Yeah, the picture that you see on the top left, that is an AI imagination of Baghdad in the Middle Ages. So yes, that is an AI generated picture. I don't know how Toastmasters will classify it, and whether it will be classified as tip art or some other thing. But the important thing is that it is not dominating the flyer. It is just a part of the flyer, and that is the key. Similarly, if you move to the right again, that is a picture that has colored that pink transparency that is specified in Toastmasters, right? And then on the right, it's a box that is colored in royal blue, right? So there is nothing non-brand compliant in this flyer. And at the same time, I believe at least that it looks quite different. So it also solves the problem that we may all face regarding that we have to put in so much information. So feel free to play with the placement of elements and the font sizes. You can go very small on the font sizes, because these days our phone screens are very high resolution. So this is actually the secret, the unicorn. The first unicorn is the condensed version of Gotham and Myriad Pro. They will literally change your world. And the second secret is you can go very small with the font sizes because our phone screens are very high resolution and people can see and zoom in very easily. This is something that I created. You must have seen it. Now, I know that the winner's narration, winner's graphic in the background, that's just another font that I've used, and that's not brand compliant, by the way. So that's just something I use because it looked nice, honestly speaking. But everything else, if you look at the heading, International Speech Contest or We Salute Your Eloquence, that is Myriad Pro Condense. It is one of the most beautiful fonts that I've seen, and I've been using it here and there, everywhere recently. Similarly, if you look at the pictures, the yellow is used to denote the gold medal, the silver, and then the bronze. So, and all these colors are part of the brand palette. How lucky we are. This is happy yellow, this is gray, and this is the maroon. And luckily, we can denote gold, silver, and bronze through these three colors. So you've got to think a little bit outside the box. Start with what you want to represent, and then see how you can interpret it based on the brand map. And finally, yeah. So this was an Urdu flyer. You must have seen it as well. It was an advertisement for the District 122 Urdu Speech Championship. And Toastmasters has not defined an Urdu font as yet, but I've just used two Urdu fonts in this flyer. The one used for the heading, I forget the name of, I liked it slow. And the second one is the default Urdu font you must have seen. It's called Jamil Noori Nasali. So, of course, Toastmasters has not prescribed an Urdu font as yet, but the rest of the stuff in this flyer is also brand compliant. The shade is according to the gradient that Toastmasters has defined for the gray color. Similarly, the fonts is the maroon, and the brand placement, the District 122 Pakistan text. And of course, on the lower left, the conference logo, which is not brand compliant per se, but we got the approval from Toastmaster Branding to use that conference logo. So this is pretty much my presentation. And the idea is that if you just take a look at these flyers, and in fact, look at some of your own works as well. We are so much limited, but at the same time, we can creatively play with the limits. We can stretch them, and we can invent new ways of representing things that still are brand compliant. So don't be afraid to play. Anything that is not specifically forbidden in the Toastmasters brand manual can probably be used. But at the same time, if you're doubtful about it, go ahead and ask the branding team. For example, for this particular flyer, I consulted the branding team and they gave the go ahead that yes, you can use 3D text and you can stretch the text and everything. So the Toastmasters logo cannot be changed. It cannot be, its ratio cannot be changed. It cannot be distorted. It should be prominent at all times, and its colors cannot be changed. Its text cannot be changed. But the text itself, the fonts, you can do anything that your graphic software allows, as long as you remain within the color palette. So that brings my presentation to a close, and I hand over the floor now to Toastmaster Akash Kumar. Okay.
Hear you.
Sorry. Where is the stop sharing button? It got lost on me. Can anyone guide? It used to be right here in the old version of Zoom.
Take your cursor at the top middle, you will find it.
top middle.
Beside the
Okay.
meeting. Beside
Okay.
the green tag.
Yeah, okay. I hit something and suddenly stopped sharing. So yeah, I'm good.
Akash, we cannot hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question, DTM Talha Bin Hamid.
Yes.
Well, is it necessary to be a chartered accountant to be that nice designer that you are already, mashallah?
Yes, it is certainly necessary because being a chartered accountant is so absolutely boring that it forces you to look for creative outlets. And you're perfectly aware of that feeling, Toastmaster. So you don't need to ask.
Hello everyone, DTM Talha, can I ask a question as well?
Yes, sure.
Hello, it's Mohammad Punil Fahim here. I
Thank
just
you.
wanted
That
to ask-
was on a lighter note. Now, let's.
Yes, Una, you were.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to ask, like, if we are having some theme-centric meeting about 14th August or Defense Day meeting, so can we add flags which are like Pakistan's flag is green? So is it okay to add Toastmasters logo on our poster as well, or we should avoid it when we are creating a theme-centered flyer?
As long as you stick to the brand colors, see, keep in mind one thing, that brand color guidelines pertain to your flyer color as well as the graphics on your flyer, as well as the fonts that you use, right? So, for example, if you want to place the flag, you can use a picture of a flag, right? Toastmasters tells you to avoid using clip art, etc. And I don't know whether a flag can be. I think the intent in the brand manual is to avoid is to prevent people from using cartoons and low quality graphics. I don't think the flag falls in that category. We've seen flags used, so I think you can place a flag, but a picture of a flag would be safer.
Right. Thank you.
Hi, DTM Talha. This is Mantesh Chandra from Doha, Qatar. I just have a question about you have mentioned that we need to send a flyer to the Toastmaster community, right? So how many days they will approve, or is there anything time limit? I mean, time limit for that?
Well, first of all, the brand manual exists for the simple reason that you don't need to send everything to world headquarters, right? Only in very special circumstances. First of all, if you're doubtful about anything, right, then you should send it to Toastmasters World Headquarters. Secondly, if you're creating some materials in line with what are given, for example, you're creating standees or you're creating trophies, you need to seek approval from Toastmasters branding for their design because they need to be in line. And again, all of those resources are available on the Toastmasters website. Thirdly, when you're designing your annual conference logo, you need to send it for approval from Toastmasters branding. You can deviate from Toastmasters branding, but you need to have their approval before you can use it. The email ID that you send it is brands at let me just give it to you. Branding, and I think it's branding. It's given on the Toastmasters website. Okay, I'll note it down in the chat box, but they usually take 3 to 4 days to answer. Sometimes they can take a lot more, but usually they take 3 to 4 days to answer. But again, let me re-stress that you don't need to consult them for each and everything. I hope that clarifies.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. Yes.
DTM
The
Talha,
another
I
thing
have a
is,
question.
yeah. Sorry, another thing was we used to with the Canva, so I believe the flyer which we have created, it's very nice. But is it from PowerPoint presentation, right? Not from the Canva.
Yeah, it's not from Canva because I'm not used to working with templates. I just like to create something from scratch, so I use PowerPoint. But again,
Ah.
as long as you know how to use Canva, again, you can use it in any way you want. I understand that the free version places some limitation in terms of fonts and colors, but I think the paid version removes those limitations. So yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much, DTM. Yeah.
Toastmaster Abrar has a question. Yes, Toastmaster Abrar, please go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. Since I know that, mashallah, you create all those posters and flyers from scratch. So I just need to know, because it is very imperative, because people, when they start creating posters, they might lose hope in the middle. So how much time it need to take if you are a beginner or an amateur designer in the beginning, while you are doing designing in the beginning, how much time it takes to create a simple and a normal poster? The first thing. And if you are an intermediate or advanced level designer, like mashallah you are, so how much an average time being taken while creating the poster? This is my question, because this is something because people, they start creating and then in the middle they lose all their hopes. Well, it takes too much time and then they leave.
Well, that's a very interesting question, Toastmaster Brar, and unfortunately, there's no easy answer for that. What I do is that, whenever I start to create something, it is always based on something that I've already created. So, for example, I'll just display the file that I have of my home club, Karachi Toastmasters Club. These are all the flyers and that I've created, right? And everything starts from one of the existing templates that I've had. So, for example,
Wow.
for a certain amount of time, I use this template and I just change elements, right? I change the picture, you can see that, right? Change the picture, change the placement. But then again, sometimes something completely different is made. Again, this is also based on the same thing that I created earlier. So once you settle, I will suggest one thing, especially for clubs. Settle on a template, a certain structure for your flyer that has things fixed, some things fixed. For example, the club name, the meeting name, so for example, again, let me share that. If you can see the bottom, this is the fixed part of the flyer. Wait. Yeah, there it is. The meeting day, the time, the club name, the Toastmasters logo, and the whole box behind it, that remains the same, right? And the graphic behind it changes according to the theme of the meeting. So once you create a template, do not waste it. That's the important thing. Once you create a flyer, do not waste it. Do not let it go out of your website, out of your eyesight. That is something very important to do, because that way, when you have to create another flyer, you will just naturally pick up from where you left off. So I hope that answers your question. As far as how much time it takes, it depends upon how much of a proficiency you have on the software that you're using. That depends upon that, actually. So, for example, if since I've been using PowerPoint for a few years now, that means that I can create a flyer. For example, let me just share one of the flyers that for leaders worldwide that I created. It's a California-based club, and being in the United States, they are actually not exposed to. And again, no offense, but they're not. They don't put that much. They're not used to putting that much effort into their flyer. That's why I can also get away with just creating this template and just changing the background picture every time, right? So you see the club meeting is at the bottom, the Toastmasters 100 years logo and everything. So that takes me like 10 minutes. Why? Because I'm working off a template. So that is something important, that whatever you create, think about turning it into a template for future use. Do not waste it. I hope that answers your question, Abrar.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Very fruitful answer, and mashallah, very nice flyers. Very impressed.
Okay. Toastmaster Cyril has a question. Yes, Toastmaster Cyril, please go ahead.
TBH, lovely flyers as usual, and would love to probably see a slideshow of these. Coming to the question, the lawyer in me wants to ask this question: what happens if we violate the guidelines in some way or the other? All right, the colors are not the Toastmaster colors. Is there any penalty as such, or is it that number one, it's not a great thing to do, but is there anything we're losing out on points is what I hear, which is not a great thing, but anything that you can.
Well, unfortunately, just like for virtually every violation in Toastmasters, there is no direct penalty. I'm not aware of any penalty, right? But at the same time, there is an honor system. So if you create something and it goes on to an international group, and instead of focusing on your club's meeting, people start pointing out that, these are the errors in your flyer. You don't want that, right? So that honor system should be the safeguard, because each and everything that we are doing these days is making it onto the internet, on the Facebook group, and we'd like international guests, right? So the last thing one wants is to be schooled on branding when one puts up one's price. Although the standards are incredibly lax here. I've seen meetings and events featuring current and former international presidents that have flagrantly violated brand guidelines. And those are club meetings, not great event meetings as well. And I'm aware of no repercussions, I believe, simply because perhaps there were repercussions, they were told off in the background, but nothing publicly. So to summarize, it's an honor system. We end up diluting our own brand guidelines and our own brand image if we do that. And one more thing that should stop us from doing this. If we do this, other follow in this example, and that opens the door to a ton of substandard and subpar work. Because if you violate the brand, someone else may emulate you, and they may come up with something that is absolutely pathetic, or that is completely against the values of Toastmasters, and then you can't stop them because you violated yourself. So I believe that is somewhat satisfactory answer for you, Cyril.
Pretty much, TBH. Thanks a lot.
Okay, Toastmaster Fatma has a question. Yes, Toastmaster Fatma, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Toastmaster Akash. Toastmaster Talha, I have a question. It is not about the posters, it is about the videos and reels that we use for promotions. Nowadays, we are using the reel thing that is on Facebook and Instagram, and its size is 9:16. So we are using this canvas. So I wanted to ask, is this a good and professional way to promote our club meetings and promote our club by using this canvas, or we should use the other video size, the canvas that is for other videos and posts, or it should be like 16:9 that is usually appears professional? So what should we be doing in this case?
Well, that's a tough question to answer, because see, in the guidelines, in the video, right? If we look at the video guidelines, and let me put them up here, there's no specification as such. Let me put them up here. Yeah. So, yeah. So club name or district number, credits at the end, written permission from every individual, must not infringe on the IP of anyone. Disclaimer, and avoid common mistakes. Nowhere do you see that the video should have a certain resolution, a certain aspect ratio, a certain medium. So that means that we are pretty much open. We are pretty much free to publicize our club in any way that we see fit, as long as the video itself fulfills the integrity, respect, service, and excellence values of Toastmaster. It does have the proper branding, right? The proper logo and everything. And it, of course, relates to Toastmaster and publicizing it. So I don't think there's any restriction as to the aspect ratio these days, yes, there are so many reels. There's TikTok, of course. TikTok set off the floodgates for vertical video, and now everybody's onto the bandwagon. So yeah, I don't think there's any limitation by Toastmasters. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Yes, DTM Talha, I have a question which
Yeah.
I was trying to ask for long. DTM Talha, we have as we talked about, a very professional tone of Toastmasters brand. So I just want to share something that uh, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Uh, can you let me know that this kind of template, a funny template to attract new members, is allowed in Toastmasters branding, or is it violate the professional tone of Toastmasters brand guideline?
Well, first of all, Toastmaster does not forbid us from being funny, right, or humorous. It may appear to be so, but but if you look at the brand tone, right, it's not specifically forbidding from us from creating humor. After all, engaging humor is one of the pathways of Toastmasters. So if you think that while staying within the brand guidelines and while not displaying or putting any offensive image, you can still create some degree of fun. I don't think there's any harm.
Okay. Another question that currently are we allowed to use maroon plus yellow gradient together, or is it forbidden now?
No, no. It was always forbidden. In fact,
Okay.
the only gradients are between the same colors. The darker version of the same color and the slightly lighter. Again, for everyone's benefit, let me recap that there. The brand manual, it just provides us these gradients. And yes, I was one of those people who used to use gradients, especially when gradients were not forbidden. Uh, I think after seeing some of my flyers 3 or 4 years ago, they added this to the Toastmaster brand manual that you can always only use these gradients. So these are the only gradients that can be used, right?
Okay, just last question,
Yeah.
that since Toastmaster Fatma talked about reels, so now is the era of reels and videos. So I've seen many clubs are using reels with songs, the Insta or Facebook generated songs. So is that allowed? Because I haven't seen anything in the Toastmasters brand guidelines.
Yeah, I think AI and generative content is
Yes.
something that is yet to be addressed by the brand manual. But again, till that time, they give instructions. I believe we should have our own set of values. If it appears uh, undignified and cheap, maybe not use it. I think that's the only litmus test that I can offer right now, in absence of specific guidelines.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we are running out of time. We have just 2 minutes left. So thank you.
Last
Uh,
question. Last
okay,
question.
okay.
Last question.
Please go ahead. Please go
Well,
ahead.
Talha Bin Hamid, can you help us understand how we can use gradient using this the technique? How much percentage we should use to use that gradient that we have seen in the Toastmasters brand manual?
Okay, let me quickly demonstrate.
By actually making a flyer.
Yeah, actually, let me demonstrate. Let me demonstrate. So first of all, I will just display my screen in a bit and show you how. So, okay, just give me a second. Okay, can everyone see the blank slide?
Yes.
All right. So this is on the left. You can see this is what I've this is a screenshot from the brand manual. Okay. So for example, if I wish to create a shape around it, there it is, right? And now in PowerPoint, this is the command for gradient. Of course, in other software, there will be different. You turn on gradient fill, it gives you different swatches here. The key thing to do here is that when you select a swatch, you select the eyedropper tool, bring it on the deep end of the gradient given, right? And then select the eyedropper tool and bring it on the lightest tint. So that gives you the gradient. Same goes for maroon, same goes for the gray gradient, right? And if you just place one transparency over it, remember we talked about transparencies, they were 30%. So just fill it with white and make it 30% transparent. And there you go. You have Toastmaster authorized transparency that you can use. And again, you can use this color in any place as long as you create this color like this, right? I hope you're getting my point. So for example, your flyer can be entirely of this color, as long as there is this color underneath and the 30% transparency over it. So imagine the possibilities that opens up. Similarly, we can do the same for the maroon grading, right? And there you go. And again, placing the transparency, it gives you not only a gradient, but also a new color that you can experiment. So I hope that answers your question, Toastmaster Abrar.
Yes, thank you very much. So that means that the new color that is created in the event of using gradient can also be usable, and it's a part of the brand manual, right?
Yeah. And let me clarify, what we are talking about is, especially Toastmaster Craig, 70% opaque and 30% transparent, right? So again, we're just talking about semantics here. There's a confusion that many people say it should be 30% transparent or 30% opaque. It's the same thing, as long as what you're doing is exactly that you're making it. See, I'm here making it 70%. I'm making it 30% transparent. That's what's allowed, right? If I made it 70% transparent, it would be transparent most of the way, which is not the correct transparency. So if you look at the brand manual, if you look at this, the transparency colors, yeah, let me expand it. Underneath, it's a gradient that I just show you, right? The maroon gradient, and over that, exactly matching with that, is opacity 70%. That means if opacity is 70%, transparency is 30%. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, got it. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's time to wrap up. I'm thankful to every participant who participated today in Brands D122 Brands Manual Workshop. I hope that you have learned different aspects of brand guidelines today, and you will be confident enough to apply these brand guidelines, and not just to theoretical follow-up, but to actually apply it, because that is very important to elevate your club's presence, because this is the era of digital. This is the digital era's tenure. So I'm very thankful to DTM Talha Bin Hamid for his expert guidance, and we are going to engage you in the future as well. If you have any other questions, I'm dropping the email in the chat box. You can write to us, or you can reach out to DTM Talha Bin Hamid.
Excuse me, Akash, sorry. I think Cyril wants to go for another question, if you can allow.
Okay, just last question.
Very
because-
quickly,
Great.
very quickly, DTM, is there any font that's got serifs in it apart from the Luxury and the Corinthia? All the fonts are serifs.
Unfortunately, no. The one glaring missing piece in Toastmasters armor, unfortunately, no. I've looked far and wide, but no, there's
Got it,
no
got
such
it, got it.
possibility.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Okay, please stay connected with District 122 PR team, and if you have any suggestions, if you have any feedback, please reach out to us. We are going to have such educational sessions, workshops in future too, please do reach out to me for your suggestions. Now it's time to take a picture. I request everyone to turn on their camera and let's have a group photo. Okay, Toastmaster Cyril, Toastmaster Bilal. Okay. DTM Tala, you can also take one picture. I've taken it, but I request you to take a memory with you as well. Okay, done, done. Okay, thank you everyone, and let's meet again in some future engaging workshop. Thank you.